Welcome into Fox Carolina Tailgate, joined by Corey Miller and Patrick Sapp. We've got a couple of really big games ahead of both South Carolina and Clemson this year. Clemson coming off of ACC loss to Florida State, an overtime loss to the Seminoles. Real quick gut reaction. How'd you feel that day? How has it settled now for you?
Honestly, the loss was, it was something that I didn't want to experience. I didn't like. But what I will say is I saw a team get better. I saw a team play to their potential. And that's what I think we all have been waiting for the Tigers to do this season. Florida State, they did it. They just didn't finish it, And, again, you're playing a number 4 team. And Florida State was up for this game. It wasn't like they played down. It wasn't like they played a bad game. Clemson finally played the way they needed to play. Just didn't get the win. I feel for those guys for that. But I think it's a lot of positives you could take from that game.
That RPO that's garnered a lot of attention. Cade choosing to throw the ball.
Yeah, I take this side as to, since I'm a former quarterback, also coach, sometimes you got to make it simple for the players. And so you give that option. I understand why you give the option. You want to keep the defense spread. You want to give the look to keep the box clean. But also you put it in the quarterback's hand to make a decision at that time of the game. That's a young guy that's still developing and learning. He didn't make the right decision, obviously, and that cost him in a lot of ways. So I think that's something to learn from. I can guarantee you now if he's in that same position again in the future, he won't make that same decision or that mistake. So, hats off to Florida State. They're getting it done, and I think Clemson made a jump even in the midst of a loss.
All right, we'll come back to Clemson in a bit because there's a lot to talk about with South Carolina. A big win at home, everything you could ask for, the Alshon Jeffrey moment, a ton to celebrate in Columbia right now. And I just think it's really funny when you look at these two programs, 2-2, coming out of those first 4 weeks of college football, things feel a whole lot different and optimistic in South Carolina.
Well, South Carolina, well, first of all, glad to be back on the set.
Yes, we're thrilled to have you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, you doing okay? I mean, boy, all those daggum excuses of it. But anyway, South Carolina is a better football team right now, just the way it is. I mean, if you look at South Carolina, how they have performed, went on the road at Georgia between the hedges, really could have easily won that game, made mistakes in the second half. They were good against Mississippi State. Now, the defense gave up a lot of points. I don't like that part of it, but I really love what Spencer Rattler doing. I really love what they're doing in the run game. I told you that little running back from Newberry. I mentioned that a few weeks ago.
You did?
Okay, I'm going to collect those receipts as well.
I mean, nobody challenged you on it, so it's not really a receipt to collect, but it's fine. We're splitting hairs.
They are running the football. They're playing with freshman offensive linemen starting. They're doing some great things. Big Tree handling his business. The wide receiver. How about Xavier Leggett? I mean, this dude is bad to the bone. He's working himself into some cheddar, right? First round kind of cheddar if he keeps this up. But they're playing good football. Now, they still have a long way to go. They got a hard schedule going on the road to Rocky Top. They're looking for payback this week. You know what happened to them last year with the 63-piece. But I like how they're playing. I'm a little concerned with the defense giving up chunk plays. Now, they got injuries on the back end.
But Tennessee can exploit you there.
Yeah, but they haven't been throwing the ball well, though, Tennessee. They've been running it good. The passing game been a little bit, a lot to be, desired there. But South Carolina is a solid 2-2 team based on their schedule. But I'm sure none of these guys are happy where they are. But going on the road, another SEC East opponent, if they can get a win in good old Rocky Top and come back 3-2.
When you evaluate this game, when you look at South Carolina, Tennessee, obviously a win is the goal.
Yeah.
How do you handle those expectations though? Like what when you come back, let's say they lose, is there a margin that is still no?
Loss is a loss. I mean, you want to go play well. I mean, you go on the road in the SEC, it's going to be hard regardless of where you go,
let alone
who
night.
You are. It's going to be a tough football game. They got 100,000+ that's going to be screaming. People feel like South Carolina, and they did ruin their college football playoffs last year. Hendon Hooker goes down with the injury. It's been crazy because I've been, scanning X, and on X, people are talking about the Marcus Lattimore injury that happened years ago against Tennessee, and then Hooker comes to the state. He goes down with a season-ending injury, and the fans are bickering, and they're talking about payback injuries, and even Josh Heupel had to say something about, like, this is ridiculous, which it is for both fan bases to get caught up into that foolishness. So, This is a game South Carolina's going to be the underdog because they're on the road. I don't think up to this point Tennessee has shown that they are a really good football team. So I think if South Carolina can stay composed, hang around, they'll have a chance to win the game.
Yeah, I would add to that to say that, hey, yeah, you don't really know how good Tennessee is, but this would be a huge win for South Carolina if they can go up there and win this game. Regardless if Tennessee's proved themselves or not, you go on the road, you win against Tennessee, and you start to continue to look at this team projecting northward, and that's what you want. But it also depends on how you play the game, because if you lose it, and it's close, you played a good game, played a tough team, and you win or you lose, in that situation, it's a lot better if you go out there and get blown out.
But P-Sap, here's the problem, though. South Carolina hasn't been good on the road in a minute. They've been solid at home, but on the road, they haven't won. I mean, so that's a concern. You got to be able to go get those road victories. And if you look over the last year and a half, they haven't won a lot of good football games.
Why?
And I don't know what's the problem, but they need this road win desperately because they haven't been able to do it. Can they do it? Yes, but something's wrong there. I mean, because they can't
And
win
I
on the
think
road.
you can argue that Kentucky win last year, that's part of what made that so huge, was it was a road win, and we saw the inevitable effects of it, which I think was that Tennessee win, that Clemson win, some of those that big momentum.
Well, they had first.
Yeah, and you talk about road games as opposed to home games and winning on the road and what could be wrong, right? It's the same team, same preparation, but sometimes just in you preparing that week, just the travel part of it, just those disconnects sometimes affects the team. Never know why, and it maybe affect those key positions on that team. So you have to figure that out as a coach. I'm sure they're in that coach's office trying to figure out what can we change about traveling
They better
to
be
make
doing
us,
something.
Absolutely. Well, we have plenty more to talk about between these two, but we're looking forward to that night game at Neyland Stadium for a look at what to expect this weekend between the Gamecocks and the Tennessee Volunteers. We'll toss it over to Chief Meteorologist Kendra Kent.